Welcome back to another edition of Chef Knives to Go Quick Look Product Reviews. I'm Steve Gamache, and this time we are looking at the Goko Shitogami No. 1 Nashiji Nakiri 165mm knife. So this line of knives has a core steel of Shitogami or white paper No. 1 Hitachi reactive carbon steel. The heat treat is a rather conservative 60 on these, so these make nice kind of entry knives into handcrafted, hand-hammered Japanese steel. A little bit of forgiveness, being that steel is not quite as hard as some. The construction is a softer stainless cladding on either side of that core steel for a 3-layer sandwich. So only the core steel exposed at the edge will patina and is reactive. The rest of the blade is lower maintenance stainless steel. They put what's called a Nashiji or pear skin kind of mottled finish on these, and we'll get a close-up look at it. The weight and dimensions will vary a little bit from knife to knife on these since they're handmade, but the weight on this one's about 5.3 ounces, 152 grams, and then the edge length is right around 165 from the back of the blade till you hit the curve at the tip. The overall length about 12.6 for the whole knife, and then the spine thickness on this one coming out of the handle above the back of the blade is about 3 millimeters, and then it thins out to 2-ish or so millimeters, and then pretty much holds that until you hit the front of the blade. So the blade itself is fairly stiff. The height is pretty generous. It's about 53 millimeters at the back, and then about halfway down it's about 55, so it gains a little bit of height. And the handle, Chef Knives to Go is now putting an upgraded handle on these, and this is an octagonal walnut with a Packawood ferrule, and nice handle. It's got a nice feel to it. Fit and finish is quite good on the handle. It's not like glass smooth at the junction here, but it's pretty smooth. And the install, you may want to seal the install up just a little bit. Let's take a close-up look as we look at the blade as well. But there's some little bit of gaps there when they do the install, so you may want to get some beeswax or epoxy or something in there just to seal that up from any moisture getting in there and corroding. The sides of the blade, on the right side you do have hand shields of kanji, and then you can clearly see the Nashiji or pear skin texture to the finish. Every knife will be a little different on how the texture looks, but you can see the core steel showing at the edge. It's a fairly subtle line compared to some grinds, the way they polish the knife or put kind of a almost a sandblasted finish on them. So these are fairly subtle finish on there, but as you use the knife, that core steel will patina and start to show contrast. It's a nice look. You can see a fairly generous grind to these, so these are no slouch in performance. They grind these fairly thin at the edge. In fact, quite thin, and so these babies do perform. Out-of-the-box edges on these is really pretty good. I'll give them a good 6 out of 10, and strop it a little bit, and it just becomes really sharp. And there's almost nothing that sharpens more easily than Shitogami No. 1. So you can put a screaming edge on these, and if you're kind of new to sharpening, this sharpens up so easily, it'll make you feel like a champ. So you don't have to work and work and work like on a cheap stainless knife or something. So fit and finish, really, it's refined rustic, and it's a little more refined than something like a Masakage Yuki, for example, or a Kanehiro, but they do round off the edges on the spine just a touch, and also the choil back of the blade into the handle, so it's pretty comfortable right out of the box. This particular one doesn't have a huge gap here, but you can still get your finger in there for a pinch grip. If that was moved back a couple of millimeters, it'd probably open that up a little bit. Let's take a look at it on the cutting board. This is a good performing Nakiri, so they're very thin at the edge, and kind of forgiving with the lower hardness core steel. They're just really nice performing knives. So this is the profile on this particular Nakiri is pretty flat overall. Little bit of a kind of a flowing curve to it, which is pretty common to a lot of Nakiri knives. You've got the curved front of the blade, what we'll call the tip area, so you can rock this real easily into shorter ingredients. And it's got enough flatness to it that you can do some chopping and stuff, and various cuts with just a little bit of motion and adjusting your cuts just a little bit. So it's not dead flat, but you don't want it to be dead flat anyway. It would act weird on the board that way. So just a real nice kind of general use Nakiri with kind of a refined rustic look, high value, nice core steel that sharpens up fantastically. Here's the balance point on the blade, pretty close to a pinch grip, slightly in front, which gives you a little bit of blade forward weight balance, which is nice for an Nakiri, give you a little bit of extra cutting power. So there you have the stainless over reactive core steel, the Goko Shitogami or white number 1 Nashiji Nakiri 165mm knife.